Wars are undeniably bad. The devastation they bring is unparalleled massive destruction, untold suffering, and irreversible damage. These destructive forces do not discriminate, leaving behind a wake of pain and desolation. The toll of war is immense and multifaceted. It is not limited to physical destruction, but extends to mental, emotional, financial, and spiritual realms. Soldiers and civilians alike are left with deep scars that last long after the battle has ended. The emotional cost of war can be seen in the lives of those who survive, carrying with them trauma, PTSD, and loss, while entire societies are shattered by the aftermath. Mental trauma, the kind that stays with us, cripples the soul. PTSD, anxiety, and fear ripple through generations, and the destruction caused by war often leads to a breakdown in societal fabric, with families torn apart and communities divided. The loss of life, the destruction of homes, and the displacement of millions all contribute to a chain of suffering that is difficult to break. Financially, nations suffer under the weight of war. Economies falter, and resources that could be used for growth are drained by conflict. Wars also carry a spiritual cost, as they often force individuals to question the very nature of life, existence, and the morality of human behavior. War challenges everything we believe in, everything we hold dear. Wars are signs of dark ages, moments in history when humanity has fallen to its lowest points. They represent a failure of diplomacy, a breakdown of peaceful resolutions, and a descent into chaos. The lessons of past wars are reminders of how destructive conflict can be. But what if there is another perspective to consider? Could war, in some twisted way, offer something valuable, even a gift? It is a harsh truth, but wars are the other side of the coin called peace. In the aftermath of destruction, after the violence subsides and the smoke clears, there lies a possibility for peace. It is a peace that is hard-earned, shaped by the suffering of war. Peace is something we can only truly appreciate once we have faced the horrors of conflict. After the bombs have fallen and the dust has settled, survivors are left with a deep appreciation for the value of peace, something that can never be fully understood until we have seen its opposite. After war, we breathe again. We rebuild, we reconnect, and we learn to cherish the moments of calm, the quiet between the storms. But war itself is not something to be desired or glorified. It is still the dark side of humanity's sanity, the failure of civilization to avoid conflict. It brings out the worst in people, the violence, the hatred, the fear, and the unchecked cruelty. War strips away the layers of civilization, revealing the primal instincts of survival and power. It exposes our vulnerabilities, showing how easily we can descend into chaos. It is a painful reminder of the fragility of peace and how easily it can be shattered. War is the extreme measure that humanity resorts to when other options fail, and the consequences are felt by everyone. Despite the horror and suffering it causes, war is inevitable. It is woven into the very fabric of human existence. As much as we strive for peace, we cannot deny the historical reality that conflict has always been present. Wars have been fought over resources, ideologies, power, and territorial control. Nations have clashed, empires have fallen, and civilizations have crumbled in the wake of war. It seems to be an intrinsic part of the human condition. Even as we evolve, as technology advances and society progresses, the specter of war looms over us. So how do we prepare for this inevitability? The first step is acceptance. We must acknowledge that war is a part of life. We cannot ignore it or pretend it does not exist. Instead, we must prepare ourselves mentally, physically, and emotionally for the possibility of conflict. It is essential to build resilience, to strengthen our minds and bodies so that we are ready to face the challenges ahead. We must create local, peaceful communities that will serve as a buffer against the chaos of war. These communities can offer a place of safety, support, and solidarity when the world outside descends into madness. While war may seem like an overwhelming force, it is not one we must face alone. Building these safe havens will give us the tools to survive the most difficult of times. It is within these communities that we can find strength, find meaning, and find the resources to rebuild after war has passed. But it is not enough to simply prepare ourselves for the worst. We must also be proactive, creating opportunities to ease the suffering of those who are most vulnerable. For the wealthy, war can be a different experience. Those with resources are able to prepare in ways that most people cannot. They can build bunkers, stockpile supplies, and secure their wealth in ways that protect them from the destruction of war. But what about the poor? What about the millions of people who have no resources to prepare? How can they survive in a world torn apart by war? One potential solution is to reframe the idea of war itself. If we cannot stop war from coming, perhaps we can transform its nature. Instead of seeing war as something purely destructive, we can view it as an opportunity for growth and change. What if we could take the concept of war and turn it into a game? A TV game show where individuals from all walks of life can play at war and potentially emerge victorious. By turning war into a form of entertainment, we give people a chance to experience it in a way that doesn't lead to death and destruction. The poor could have the opportunity to play the game, to rise above their circumstances, and to secure a better life for themselves and their families. This concept would not only transform the experience of war into something less destructive, but it would also create opportunities for those who would otherwise be left behind. It could serve as a way to shift the power dynamics in society, giving the marginalized a chance to rise. While the rich may continue to secure their place in bunkers, the poor could play the game, outwit their enemies, and achieve a new kind of victory over the chaos and destruction that war brings. In this way, war becomes less about devastation and more about resilience, strategy, and survival. It is no longer just a source of suffering. It becomes a vehicle for personal growth and societal change. War, in this sense, would still be a challenge, but it could be one that brings out the best in people. It could teach us to adapt, to survive, and to thrive in even the most difficult of circumstances. It could help us redefine what it means to be human in the face of destruction. In the end, war is not just a force of destruction, it is a force of transformation. It forces us to evolve, to adapt, and to learn. It teaches us that peace, while invaluable, is only truly understood in the aftermath of conflict. War is the crucible in which societies are tested, and the survivors are shaped by the experience. If we can find a way to play the game of war, to transform it from a force of destruction into a vehicle for growth, we may just discover that the gift of war lies not in its devastation, but in its ability to shape humanity for the better. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the paradoxes of life. If you found this video thought-provoking, give it a like and share it with others who might enjoy unraveling these mysteries. Don't forget to subscribe for more content exploring the edges of existence. Until next time, question everything and keep exploring your own destiny. Take care. Bye-bye.